Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And wow, we got an absolutely wonderful show coming your way today. I tell you, we're going to be talking about, brain functions and ultimate brain functions. And I believe that Michelle and I just witnessed, and probably 30, 40 million other folks just witnessed something where, yes, we witnessed the total eclipse up in Dallas, Fort Worth, where our mind, our thoughts, whatever you had believed before, darkness came in a matter of seconds. And that's my first time ever seeing something like that. And we stayed out there for about almost about 3 minutes and experienced the whole thing. And I'm telling you, I'm kind of baffled, kind of thrown back a little bit, and I can't wait to talk to this guest today. She's a psychiatrist, and we're gonna talk. And she's gonna help us out with this ultimate brain function. And I'm about to ask her what was her thoughts and her experience in this. And Michelle, what was your thoughts and experience while watching this?
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful. First it looked like it was getting ready to rain because it was so dark, and then it just got dark so quickly, and it was just absolutely beautiful. We heard the kids. We have a school by us, and the kids were cheering. They were all excited, probably the school staff as well, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful event. And they were reporting that from the Dallas Zoo, the animals were acting weird.
Hey, we took Bella out, our dog Bella, and Bella was running around. I don't know if she even noticed that or not. But I know she didn't want to come in the house right away. So, but hey, Michelle, I'm excited about the show today. We
Yes.
got this absolutely fantastic doctor coming on again. She was on a couple of weeks ago. I'm so happy to have her back on the show today. Yeah, so how's your day been going so far, Michelle?
It's been going great. It's been going great. Like you said, we're just really excited to have this doctor back on the show to talk about optimal brain health. So we're just gonna just plug in and just hear what she has to say.
I'm ready. Michelle, can you please introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest?
Yes, the title of today's show is Unlock Your Infinite Potential with Optimal Brain Health. We're having a sit-down conversation with Dr. Balin A. Durr. She's a board-certified psychiatrist with more than 20 years of experience in child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry. She's going to talk about how stress and inflammation impact brain health, how simple strategies such as nutrition, exercise, sleep, meditation can optimize brain health, and talk about the science behind you are a star child. You are in the universe, and the universe is in you. So let's talk about a little bit about our guests today. Again, board certified psychiatrist, more than 20 years of experience. She uses a holistic, collaborative approach to mind body wellness from the healing intersection of traditional and alternative medicine and spiritual well-being. She has provided care largely to the vulnerable, uninsured, and underserved in a variety of clinical settings. She had a groundbreaking role in providing telepsychiatry services for almost a decade and provided lectures to medical providers and taught students in physician assistant and nurse practitioner programs. Graduated from Emory University with a BA in sociology, obtained her medical degree from the University of Illinois at Chicago, completed 9 months of pediatrics at Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx, New York, and completed the general psychiatry residency and child and adolescent psychiatry residency at the University of Florida. She executive produced and host of Dr. Durr's Living in the Sweet Spot. She also released a podcast on addiction, depression, and suicide titled Today's Mental Health. She's a poet and author of Heavens Abounds in You, The Journey to Joy. We got so much to talk to this amazing doctor. So here she is. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Bellandur.
How you doing, Doc?
So again, I am awesome. I am a child of the universe, made of stardust. And so I said, there is no accidents. And look how the universe came together to provide me with the most optimal backdrop to talk about us being star children of the universe made of stardust. Come on, God.
Wow, I tell you, This is amazing. What many of us just think of Star Trek and think of all of these things and made up movies, made up all that, but a lot of the stuff actually exists for real. So hey Doc, before we get started, can you tell our viewers and listeners who might have missed you on the last show a little bit about you and tell them what made you click?
Well, you know what, the thing of when I was listening to Dr. Michelle share my bio, and I was like, "Ooh, that's me! Ooh, look at that! Really?" So it's sometimes kind of eye opening to hear those things about myself, but it really what it is that of course I am a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist with over 20 years of experience. Initially, my journey began when I made the decision in junior high to become a physician, but I wanted to be an OB-GYN because I love the idea of bringing life into the world. And then going into medical school, we have to do do rotations, and the one in OB-GYN, while I love OB, I really didn't like being a surgeon. I didn't like the sleep deprivation of being on call every fourth night. So I said, okay, God, what you got for me next? And when I got to the required rotation of psychiatry, then there was this ease about the psychiatry residents. Even sometimes when they looked tired, there was still this ease about them. And so that, along with the fact that I just really got time to sit and talk with the patients and spend time with the patients, getting to know them and their histories and their stories, that I was like, yeah, this is my flow right here. And so, yeah. And so then, of course, while I just expected to continue to be a psychiatrist, just like the rest of the universe, is we continue to evolve, continue to grow, continue to transform. That opportunity is before us in every moment. And so I'd always been feeling drawn to ministers, and so I'm seeking spiritually. And in having some conversations with a couple of friends of mine, they said, they said, when is your book coming out? And I was like, yeah, when is your book coming out? So I heeded that call, because what I know to be true is that when the universe calls to you, first you get a whisper, then you get a tap on the shoulder, and if you don't answer, then you're gonna get the smack upside the head and the brick wall falls on you, as Oprah says. So so for me, it was scared out of my mind, but saying, if I trust spirit, then it knows how to do this. And so when I said yes, then the content from what became my book, Heaven Abounds in You, The Journey to Joy, started to flow in 2 weeks. And even in the process of writing the book, I was like, I want to write poetry. And then that started flowing. And I had never written poetry before, hadn't written a book, not in this kind of creative, poetic style, especially about, spirituality and our oneness with the universe, and again, self-transformation and growth. So it was quite a journey, but it's been a beautiful journey.
Wow. You mentioned the spirit, and I believe that if you're a believer, which we are, that there's certain things that God planted in our heart, in our mind, in our body, in our soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to believe. We have to. He's letting me know, why am I fighting this? We just have to give in and follow his lead. So today we're talking about
if we want more and better, right? But a
yes.
lot of times we are so scared of what we're going to have to sacrifice, and that we are not prepared and not up to the task and up to the job, that that we we feel that we're inadequate, so we say no. And so, the way, to be honest with you, because again, I'm scared out of my mind having to do this. And so one of the ways I worked through this, frankly, was in looking at certain things and kind of logically trying to say, what is this? So when I look at, the Israelites being called to go into the promised land, and the 10 spies go over there, and 8 of them are like, no, they got bears and giants and bears, oh my, and Joshua and Caleb are going, but we could take them. So, but because they didn't believe in themselves and trust that God self that was within them and that is around them, that the one power is the same power within them is the same power in whatever obstacles or enemy they face. It's just the mind of the wielder of the power, right? So because they didn't have that mindset and that belief and that trust, then they had to wander the desert for 40 years, the wilderness for 40 years, in order to try to get rid of that mindset that says I'm separate, therefore I am inferior, or I am inadequate, I am unable. So it's the return to knowing that we're the oneness with all there is, with the infinite, with the energy. And I heard you and Michelle, of course, were talking about the eclipse, and of course, to me, it's just like, it just says, again, look at the wonder and the awe and the beauty and the magnificence, right? And the abundance of the universe and all there is.
Wow. You just put all this in a nutshell, especially when you're saying that wondering for 40 years, like as the Bible is written and history shows. You know what? We're going to take a station break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about this topic. We're going to talk about the brain. We're going to talk about the ultimate brain power. We're going to talk to Dr. Durr. So I'll tell you what, whichever platform you are watching us on, all you have to do is go to that platform, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
I've seen a smile convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are. The one that keeps us close when we're apart. Walking from the darkness of all that we've been through. It seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live again a life of
Heaven Abounds in You takes you on an inward journey of discovery that dramatically transforms your outward experience of life. Discover the power of belief. Utilize it in connection with science to create a vision of meaning and purpose that pulls you forward. Let go of the meager me to discover the magnificent me. Let go of your painful past and live life free from fear, worry, and stagnation. Experience an abundant universe as you powerfully create happiness, relationships, health, and limitless opportunities. When you heal your mind, all things are possible.
Hello, welcome back to James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I got this absolutely fantastic friend and guest that's joining us today. And what we're going to talk about is brain health and how important it is that we do certain things in order to get the ultimate value and use out of our brain. So, if you want to be part of this conversation, it doesn't matter what platform that you're watching. All you do is just go to the comments, ask any questions that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. Dr. B, can you tell our viewers and our listeners what exactly is brain health?
So fundamentally, what brain health is the brain is the organ that runs everything in the body. Or as I like to say, your body can't live without a brain. And when someone is on life support, we um, understand that intuitively. We understand that to be true. But I think on a more conscious level, it's not something we really spend much time thinking about. So because we don't think about that, my brain is running everything except for a few simple reflexes, I think we lose sight of the essential importance and nature of the brain to live the life that we want, to do the things that we want to do, to pursue the professions or the relationships or the wealth or abundance, anything that we want to do. We have to have a functioning brain. If we want to be an athlete, that brain has to work well in order for us to reach an optimal or maximal level of performance and or experience if we want to play an instrument. So brain health essentially comes down to, what do I need to do in order to have that brain, I call it air traffic control, have it healthy so that everything is working well, firing on all cylinders. The other thing too that what I know to be true for me is, and we start off time the conversation about us being a star child made of stardust, is that our body is composed of 60 trillion cells, and they're all listening into each other, and they're all communicating and sharing and talking. And that a lot of that is, facilitated or mediated or, helped by the quality of the brain. In addition to that, as energy beings, because everything again in the universe is composed of energy, it's just, Einstein's law of general relativity, which is E equals mc squared. So energy and matter are interchangeable, and they're just moving back and forth in the physical world. So everything that we encounter, including us, at its core and its essence is energy. And that, what I call that energy potential, or some people call it energy intelligence, or the God potential, the essence of what we are, has the potential to become anything depending upon how it's organized. So we as infinite potential are always infinite potential, but that potential has to demonstrate through a human brain. And so the more limited the brain health is, the more limited is our demonstration. Not the potential itself is not limited, but the demonstration of the potential is limited. So, another way so the healthier the brain is, the greater is our ability to have a greater demonstration. Another way I say that, as energy or as spiritual beings, we need hands and feet, right? We need hands and feet in order to demonstrate or do whatever it is we want to do on the planet. We need a vessel, just like you need some transportation to get you around. That's what the body is. It's a vessel, it's a temple to move you from place to place, to help you do and to help you create.
Wow. So Doc, what roles do lifestyle affect our brain, ultimate brain health? I'm talking about, for examples, diet, exercise, sleep. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So one thing I have to tell you, I don't like the word lifestyle. The reason I don't like it is because I think it so understates the critical nature and importance of what we're doing to either create health or illness, to create any of the things that we want in our lives. And I think so we lose, it seems something kind of superficial and not really that substantive or that has that much meaning. That's to me in terms of the use of the word lifestyle. So to me, it's important to really become aware that in making the choices that I make, I am creating my experiences. Either I'm creating health or I'm creating illnesses. So what does that mean practically? What that means practically is the choices that I make in the foods that I eat. Either I'm giving my body what it needs, because that's really what nutrition is. And actually, I don't like the word diet either, because it has the word diet in it. But really what nutrition is about is it's about giving the body what it needs in order to create healthy cells that function. And when you don't give your body what it needs, the body is, because really what food is two things: it's energy and it's raw materials. So if you don't give the body what it needs, then the body is going to take what you give it, and you may end up with a substandard product, but body is like, did the best I could. This is what you gave me to work with. Here you go. So now you either have something again that you're giving the body what it needs in order to work well, or you're giving it something where and then it's just, it poops out. It doesn't work. It doesn't work well. And your body's not doing what it needs. So to me, nutrition is essential. It is critically important that we shift our perspective and our mindset and understand that it's not only just about enjoyment, because of course I love to eat too, but it's also about giving my body, including my brain, because I also like to tell people your brain is not in a separate container from the rest of your body. So they are connected. You're giving it what it needs in order to be healthy and to function well.
So how does stress play a role in this?
So you know what, if we could, before we get into that part, I'd actually like to, if we could, delve deeper into into the role of like nutrition and exercise, because the body, again, I said the brain needs certain things in order to function well. So what are we talking about? We're talking about, especially as a psychiatrist, the body is made of about 250,000 genes. They were expected to have 10 times as many, meaning 20. Really, they expected to have about 20. It's actually 25,000. Excuse me. They thought it would have had 250,000, but because the body has multiple functions, each cell has multiple functions, then the things that we use to create those chemical reactions have multiple functions. So what does that mean specifically? Some of the minerals that are key to having optimal brain health are things like magnesium, selenium, zinc, chromium, and iron. And what's really interesting, I said that they also have multiple functions, is actually you find magnesium is involved in over 250,000, is actually involved in over 250 chemical reactions in the body. Selenium is involved in over 1,000 chemical reactions in the body. So but specifically what it does in terms of it's helpful, the ones that I mentioned, the magnesium, the zinc, the chromium, and the iron, and even vitamin D and the magnesium they help with depression and they help with anxiety. So vitamin D in particular is also one of my favorites. And the reason it's one of my favorites is because not only does it help with depression and anxiety, but it also helps with your immune system. And we talked about that some too, which is when your immune system is suppressed, is the fact that it keeps the invaders away. And so if it's suppressed, then, it's like saying almost anybody can walk up in the house. And we do not want uninvited guests in our house. So vitamin D, it helps with depression, anxiety, helps boost your immune system. It also helps, and there's research to support these. One of the vitamin D researchers, he was covering a prison and was giving his patients vitamin D. And when there was a flu outbreak one year, everybody got sick except his patients who he'd been giving the vitamin D to. And it also helps with chronic pain. It helps with migraine headaches, and it also helps with weight loss because it helps cuts cravings. So one of the things too, I think many people are unaware of, particularly as it relates to vitamin D, is the fact that over 70% of people who live north of Atlanta, north of that line, are vitamin D deficient. So what happens is, when you get exposure to the sun, but if you're darker, then you're getting less UV rays to help you make vitamin D. It's also colder, so you have less exposure. But the thing that is that, again, because you're not making the vitamin D, what happens is you reach a peak and then it bottoms and it's dropping like every 2 weeks by half, whatever your level is. So by the time you get to March, it's bottoming out. And guess when that is? March is peak time for flu season. And that's when your vitamin D is bottoming out. So it's important for depression, and it's important for anxiety as well. And, so here's a little something too I share with folks with like selenium. I actually, and I mentioned it's involved in over 1,000 reactions. I actually, after I had my son, my hair is natural except for some hair color, that I started getting breakage. And at one point I looked up and I realized that my hair had broken like 3 rows back. And I was like, oh, hell. No, Spirit, we're not doing this. So what we doing here? It's how women are about our crowns, right? So I said, Spirit, what we doing? And in a very short time, I heard Spirit say, selenium. I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And here's why it made sense. The reason it made sense is because one of the medications that I prescribe, Depakote, one of the side effects, it can cause hair loss. And so what do we give our patients? Selenium and zinc. And so, yeah. So, and of course, when I take it and I take it consistently, and guess what happens?
What's that?
My hair is growing back. So, there's certain things we just think it's inevitable, but we don't really stop to think, well, that's not necessarily true, right? If I take an orange seed and I plant it in California, Southern California, if I plant it in Florida, places where oranges grow and it gets the proper sunlight and the proper water and the proper nutrients, guess what? You're going to get an orange tree, right? But if you take that seed and plant it like in the Antarctic, not so much, right? Because it's not the proper environment in order to promote and sustain growth of that seed. So again, I think we should think of our nutrition in the same way. So if whatever is going on with your body, if it's not working, there is a reason and there is an answer. So and so I just say start simple. And we hear this all the time. Eat your fruits and vegetables, right?
Hey, Doc, hold that thought. We got to take a station break.
Okay.
But I'm learning so much here. So I'll tell you what, I know that you all are as well. If you want to be part of this conversation, let's go to the comments portion of what you're watching us on and ask any question on this great doc that you might have. And I promise you, will get you an answer. But just like what she just said, eat your fruits and vegetables. We'll see you shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do. I am a leader. I am a senior. I will be one of the leaders of this world. So, if you know yourself, and if you love yourself, you got the confidence, you can share yourself, you can be who you are. It doesn't matter if you short, tall, fat, big, whatever, black, white, pink, gold, purple. It doesn't matter. You step up with confidence. You are a masterpiece. You are a leader.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, Doc really gave us an education during that last segment, and I'm still thinking about all these things. But one thing that stood out, you were talking about zinc and magnesium, all of these things that we all must have, we should have in our body in order to have the ultimate brain health and functionality as well. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm sure that our viewers did as well. And Michelle, one of the things that Doc mentioned was you got to eat your fruits and your vegetables. I'm not telling on you.
I eat my vegetables and fruits, but I have to be in the mood to eat certain ones, to be quite honest. Like I love bananas, I love blueberries, strawberries, hit or miss. I love mangoes. You got to be in a certain mood to eat certain things. Vegetables, I love broccoli.
But the bottom line is you don't eat enough of the fruits and vegetables, and Doc is getting ready to tell you a little bit more about that one.
And so here's the other thing too. That I would say, some of us still cling to our ways of thinking and behaving as when we were children. We only want to do stuff when we feel like it, as opposed to doing what's required. Now, of course, that's a choice. and the results that go along with those choices. Just know to expect those, right? And I so, and I understand that we have certain taste and a certain desire for certain things. But again, it's important to try to move ourselves to a place of going, what does my body need? And if I love and care about me, and I'm here to do certain things here on the planet, I need a healthy vessel. And what does the vessel need? And the other thing too that I too want to emphasize, is really when we're not giving our body and our brains, especially when we're not giving our brains what it needs, then really what's happening is we're having brain cells dying. And I don't mean over the normal course of brain cells turning over. I mean in the course of the brain is not getting the proper blood flow. It's not getting the proper nutrients. It's not getting the proper, electrical firing and chemical processes are not happening in the way that it needs to. It's not getting the proper energy. So brain cells are literally dying, which means the brain is also shrinking. So it's not functioning properly. But then say, for instance, with what does that mean practically in terms of, say, even with depression? What happens is the part up here, the frontal cortex, which is the part that's the higher thinking, it's the organizing, it's the focus, it's the attention, it's your personality, it's impulse control, it's many things. When certain parts of that brain is dying because it's not getting what it needs, then what happens is there's a part back here that is more primal, more primitive, that takes over, and it starts generating a whole bunch of negative thoughts, which is why you see people that have depression with a lot of negative thinking.
Wow. So, besides, diet and exercise, and you mentioned depression, how does stress affect our brain health? I mean, life every day can be, happy and joyful 24/7. There's trials and tribulations people go through. But I guess it's how they go through it. So how does stress affect brain health?
So stress affects brain health in many ways. And again, it's important to distinguish between stress that happens for a few seconds or, several minutes, like you have, a car coming at you, or again, maybe there's an unexpected knock at your door, or just whatever that looks like with you. That's short term. There's certain chemicals that get released in your body, and then if it's short term stress, then those chemicals are metabolized and moved back out of your body. But when we live under a constant state of stress and threat and demands upon us, and our ability, if we're not feeling up to the task, we're feeling overwhelmed, that constant cascade of chemicals in the body, it affects blood flow, which blood flow is bringing energy and it's bringing nutrients to our cells, including our brain. It dysregulates blood pressure. So your blood pressure is high and can be too high, which can then cause things like heart attacks and strokes. You can also have unregulated blood sugar, which means your blood sugar, is too high. In terms of the brain itself, again, if it's affecting blood flow, it's also affecting the firing of the nerve cells. It's affecting the production of the brain chemicals called the neurotransmitters, such as dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. And so those chemicals are involved in the part of the brain that affect mood. So you're going to be more depressed. You're going to be more anxious. You're going to have problems focusing and concentrating, because dopamine is a part of the focus and concentration, but also the motivation and the pleasure center. So, and I think it's also important to have an understanding. And I heard this from a former monk. His name was Don DePonde. He said he was taught that if you think of it like having a flashlight that that attention is the flashlight and focus is where you point the flashlight. So
Mhm.
so when you're stressed, it impacts impacts those things. It impacts your sleep, right? If you're too stressed, too overwhelmed, and you're not sleeping well, if you get and if you get so sleep deprived, you're tired, you don't feel good, you may overeat, you're gaining weight, you're not functionally, certainly not functioning at your best because
Yes.
you're tired. Again, you can't focus and pay attention. And then there's also, again, you overeat and going to gain weight because human beings, we don't like to feel bad for too long a period of time. So we're going to do something that releases that dopamine that helps alleviate the stress and the emotional pain that we may be in. So
Mhm.
things like drinking alcohol, using drugs, whether that's marijuana, whether it's cocaine, there's also, sex, shopping,
Mhm.
overspending, those kinds, and obviously overeating, certain things that are tied to our actual survival as human beings that we're wired for, then we turn to those activities in order to alleviate our emotional suffering or emotional pain, or emotional discomfort. And then we got some other problems. So stress is very much something that you want to alleviate. And I had also mentioned again about magnesium. I said it helps depression, it helps anxiety, but it's very important. It also helps alleviate insomnia. I take magnesium every night
Mhm.
because it helps, with the amount of stress I deal with. Then
Mhm.
I make sure that I get to sleep, because otherwise I can take a long time getting to sleep, and then I'm really sleep deprived. So it's really important.
Dr. Durr, can you kind of describe? I'm getting ready to go into a break pretty soon, but what does inflammation of the brain really mean?
Okay. So again, when stress dysregulates things, it causes, because of the chemicals and hormones that it releases, then it causes inflammation in the body. And what medicine and science has discovered is, very much when you look at it closely, inflammation is pretty much a part of almost every uh, disease state that's happening. And so that includes things like dementia, certain dementias, certain Alzheimer's, because also one of the things that inflammation does is it inflames the blood vessels, and inflaming the blood vessels, then the body's trying to protect itself. It builds a plaque over that blood vessel, which causes a stiffening or a hardening, but it also builds up to the point where it can either, cut off blood flow beyond the blockage, which then can cause, death of the tissue, things like a heart attack or stroke. But then it can also, a piece can break off and then move down the blood vessels and then get stuck someplace, blocking blood flow and then causing, death of tissue behind it, which again, if the tissue dies, it doesn't work. So again, things like, things like heart attacks or things like strokes. But again, it also alters the ability to get energy and nutrients to the brain, and it gets and it interferes with the production of those important brain chemicals that it needs to regulate your mood, right? Again, your brain controls what you think, how you feel, what you do, and how your body functions. So some and any and all of that can be affected when you got chronic inflammation. Because again, you can have something that's kind of, quick, relatively quick, resolved, goes away. The body is trying to, keep a normal balance, or homeostasis, as we call it. So it's trying to stay at that normal range. But when it's under constant or frequent stress, it's going to cause inflammation, which is going to create those kind of health problems.
Hold that thought. We got to take a station break, but this is so informative and this is so interesting that, I know that viewers out there, I'm looking at the numbers. They are watching us, but they haven't asked any questions. If you want to be part of the conversation, all you do is go to the platform that you want to ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life. We'll see you shortly after the break.
What if that road that you're taking's a dead end? What if love leaves you all jaded and broken? What if that limb breaks you're climbing out on? Yeah, what if it all goes wrong? But what if it all goes right? What if it all works out? What if the stars line up and good luck rains down? What if you chase your dream and it changes your whole life? Yeah, what if it all goes right? What if that road is a beautiful slow drive? What if that love ends up lasting a lifetime? What if that limb holds you oak tree strong? What if this time nothing goes wrong? What if it all goes right? What if it all works out? What if the stars line up and good luck rains down? What if you chase your dream and it changes your whole life? Yeah, what if it all goes right?
Right. Oh, okay. I'm back.
What if it all goes right?
That's a very good friend of mine. That's been on the show quite a few times, and I just love her music. Because in life, I believe that we want things to go right, but sometimes we have to sacrifice. What I mean by sacrifice, we have to do what we're supposed to do, exactly what you're talking about today, in order for us to get the ultimate brain uh, function, power, nutrition, diets, etc. Whole 9 yards. So
So
there's so
can I share something with you? As I was looking at the commercials, there was a couple of things that occurred to me. One was about self-care, and I'm gonna come back to that one in just a second. But also when she was talking about what if it all goes right, and the truth of the matter, again, I'm a huge fan of space explorers because I have learned so much from assessing their process of how they go about creating and adapting and to these huge projects, right? These hugely ambitious projects. Like I said, sending probes into to Pluto and to Jupiter and etc. And one of the things that they know to be true, at some point things are going south on you. At some things are going to blow up. It ain't going to work right. You going to have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. At some point that's going to happen. And so they're highly adaptable, and they believe in themselves to figure it out and to make it happen. And even when stuff goes south, we're going to figure it out. And the reason I bring that up is because, you might have noticed earlier in the video, it was, on this side, it was it would get dark at times, right? Well, something was going on with my lighting, and I'm just kind of go, gotta make it work. So we gotta figure it out. You can't just sit down. Well, I could sit down and quit, but that's not within my nature. The nature is to let's figure this out, because there is a solution. Whatever problem or difficulty we are facing, there is always a solution. It's just a matter of finding it, right? So in this instance, I had two lights. The one, if for whatever reason is not working right, turn that one off, move the other one over to the left. And then I got a floor light that's standing right here next to me, moved it closer, turned it on, and here we are. So you got to be committed to taking responsibility, even for our own health, is that it's up to me. I can't rely upon other people to create the health that I want. I can't rely upon other people to be more invested in my health than I am, right? So what does that mean? That means that I need to ask the questions, what does it take for me to be healthy? I need to ask, and I need to ask it, of my doctor. I can, you can find reliable sources, whomever that is for you. And then I would also say, find people that are like-minded, that you all can encourage each other. A number of years ago, I said to a friend of mine, and we were both collegiate athletes. And I said to him, I said, you know what? I said, tell me when you work out. Just send me a text. I said, because for me, how that I'm going to respond to that. For me, I'm going to hear that as go to practice. And so when I see the text that says I worked out today, I'm going to hear that as go to practice. And so not always do I respond to it, but I'm going to respond to that, and I'm going to work out myself. And we and I have been doing this for years. He's tried to get other people to do it too. They've not been as responsive, but that's just what worked for me. And I think he didn't believe it was going to work for me, but of course, you say, you can show you better than I can tell you. So find some folks that are like-minded and do those things that you're going to find helpful to keep you engaged and to keep you motivated. And the other thing I noticed, again, you in the commercial, it brought up self-care, and it brought up mental health and the other things. The other difficulty that I find, frankly, is other people want to make themselves low on their list of priorities, and then wondering why their life is not going well, wondering why they're ill, wondering why they don't feel good, because you got all these other priorities and these other people and ahead of you. So you're not loving and nurturing and giving your body and your brain and your mind what it needs to flourish. So it's like, like this, I have this glass of water, right? And it's right here. So, even in the context of giving something to other people, I can only give you what's in the glass, and what's in the glass is water. So I can only give you water. I can't give you juice or milk or champagne or lemonade. And I can only give you this much. I can't give you the full glass because I'm not full myself. And so the problem is I keep draining the glass, and then you get down to this last little bit, and then eventually you just, you pass out because your body can't take it anymore.
Wow, that's a good theory. Now we're down to about the last 2 minutes of the show, 2.5. I want you to tell our viewers and listeners about your show and how they can get a lot more of this information by tuning in.
So just really quickly, I wanted to get in again about exercise. So exercise is important because it moves blood flow. It's one of the simplest things you can do, actually, even for mild and moderate depression, is exercise. Maybe 30 minutes a day, 3-4 times a week, up to 150 minutes. Obviously, do what works for you. But it's one of the simplest, easiest things that you can do to build both brain health and overall health. The sleep we talked about, sleep, just you need to get at least somewhere around 7. Some people need 8-9 hours. Again, that's going to help regulate your hormones and the chemicals in your body, give you energy. And again, we need to eat properly, right? Give your body those things that it needs. Sometimes that means sometimes that means getting supplements, because the way food is prepared, the way it's grown, is we don't always get from it, what we need. Okay. So and I just also quickly wanted to mention meditation. Meditation helps us connect to ourselves, to center ourselves, to connect to that source of all that we are, and to know life in every breath, right? Not to live in our heads, in the past, and the worries about the future, but to know the beauty and the wonder and the amazing magnificence of life in every breath.
Every breath. We're down to 1 minute. Can you tell our audience where they can catch your show?
Yes. So my show is Dr. Durr's Living in the Sweet Spot. And you can find me at Balin A, Durr, MD, which is spelled B as in boy, ALIN, middle initial A, D as in David, URR, MD. And I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. But then the show is also on BBS Radio TV, on e360tv.com. And you can also find me on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku, Google TV, Android TV. If you download those apps. So, I'm everywhere. And essentially the show is about brain health, science, mental wealth, spiritual well-being. That is the gateway to us having the greatest demonstration of the infinite potential that we already are, and to live life.
Thank you so much. You got a standing invitation on my show anytime. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the James Cooley Show with your life. I want to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our listeners, our viewers, for tuning in to the James Cooley Show Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I also want everybody to always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. We'll see you then.